وخر الصومالي كان
اوكي.
Hello everyone, we'll start in another 5 minutes. We'll wait for people to join. Hello everyone. Welcome to today's session about the the introduction to the Azure infrastructure as a service. Myself Mallikarjuna. Today we are going to discuss about what is the Azure IaaS offerings available in Azure. Also, I have today my co-presenter Mohammad Al Rousan. Rousan.
Hi Malik, yes.
Yeah. So we are starting the session, Rousan. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe we can start now.
Yeah. So this is a little introduction about me. I mean, I'm the cloud solution architect. I'm based out of Qatar. You can find me on the LinkedIn profile. And we also have Azure Zero's blog where we write all about the Azure articles, where you can find more information about the, all these presentations and informations about the upcoming articles and events in Azure Zero's blog. Yeah. Yes, Rosan, this is my colleague. You want to introduce yourself, Rosan?
Yes, thank you, Malik. Hello, everyone. I am Mohammad Al Rousan, and I'm one of the leaders of Azure Heroes community and the Microsoft MVP in Azure, with 8+ years of experience designing and building cloud and enterprise systems. I'm also a Microsoft certified Azure Solution Architect and Microsoft certified trainer, MCT. So make sure to check my blog posts, social media, connect with me and ask me any questions after this session. And we will post link to this recording after this meetup. Thank you, Malik.
Yeah, thank you. This is the agenda for today's discussion. We are going to discuss about the Azure IaaS offering and what is available in the Azure IaaS when it comes to what data centers we have in Azure, and then what IaaS provides as a product catalog, which is comprised of compute, storage, and network. And after discussing a few presenting few slides, then we'll get into the live demo. These are the Azure offerings, which we are going to discuss today. When it comes to Azure, we have 3 different types of offerings. One is the infrastructure as a service, where these are the availability of the server, storage, networking, and virtualization. And when it comes to platform as a service, whatever is highlighted in the blue, which will be taken care by Azure, and we'll discuss next slide what is being managed by customer and what is managed by Azure. These are the 3 offerings which are available in Azure. When it comes to SaaS, you have to worry about your application. You have to rest everything will be taken care by Azure. Yeah. This is where I was talking about what is the IaaS. When it comes to the what IaaS and what Azure is going to take care and what as a customer we have to manage. It is about the OS, middleware, runtime, and data and applications that has to be managed by us. When it comes to, as you are aware, the virtualization where we are moved from physical servers to virtualization and now into the cloud. Cloud is providing the forgetting about all your the data center and how you are going to manage your data center. And now Azure is providing a virtualization, which is infrastructure as a service. You can deploy your applications using IaaS, keeping the physical servers or data center aside. As I told you, the Microsoft Azure has a data centers. Data centers are made into regions. We'll discuss about that in coming slide. And when it comes to IaaS, basic thing which we discuss about the server, storage, and networking, which we are going to discuss in the next slides. Well, you may be aware of this already, but how and how it is available in Azure, that we are going to see that. Most of you are aware what is network and what is compute and what is storage, and how it is available in Azure, that we are going to learn today in this session. What does Azure brings to you? It is an operational model. You don't need any capex. It is as pay as you go, or you can have an Azure reservation where you get most of the discount when you reserve your instances for a 1 year or 3-year time. It is up to how you go, the rate of innovation, right? When it comes to application deployment, and you see your based on your usage, you can cut down your cost. Based on your build usage, we can do that. And also the global coverage. When it comes to global coverage, Azure has a wide region availability. When you can deploy your application wherever your business runs. That I will show you in the upcoming slides. So this is what Azure currently gives, almost 160 physical data centers which are available today. Those are arranged into regions, if you take about the West Europe region, we have 3 West Europe region, we have 3 zones in that. And all these regions are interconnected. You get the largest network which is available on the planet as of today. See how how do you trust this when it comes to Azure data center, right? The physical security about a data center of Azure, which is always the 24/7 security staff, cameras, 2-factor access control. If any person going in and out, maintenance team, and you have a days of backup power when it comes to physical data center. And when it comes to infrastructure, the security controls, the compliance certifications, you name it. Currently, it is even I think that is the next slide, which is coming up. What Azure provides the ISO standardization or the SOC certifications and government certifications, compliance certifications, which is done. And this is the network which is available. How the network is being defined. And when it comes to the VM, you have a anti-malware extensions can be installed. You can provide a role-based access to the users. You can have the logging enabled on your VM, and you can audit it. And also, the Azure provides the encryption, which is available. You can encrypt your data disk or also boot, VHD boot, which is the OS disk, using the customer-based so that your data is encrypted and safe. This is what I was talking about, infrastructure compliance. I mean, when it comes to the ISO security standards, and these are the certifications that have been completed by Azure. Also, the government and industry recognized certifications which are completed. Below is the reference URL. I think it will take some more time. We may have need to when we want to discuss each and about everyone. It takes time to discuss. So I just put a simple slide, saying that how compliance is in infrastructure. Azure infrastructure is compliance to it. These are the references. The URL is mentioned below. You can get the more details there. At one point of time, we are planning to run the compliance session also. We'll do that. As I was telling, the VM, role-based access, by default, you have Azure built-in roles. It's like a owner, contributor, and a reader. Contributor is nothing but a read-write access. When a reader, as a you reader get a read access into the to the Azure resources. What are Azure resources and where it is? Now it is. If you see the access inheritance or a scope, the first level will be the subscription. Under the subscription, you will have a resource group, and then under the resource group, you will have a resources. Resources is the last inheritance, which we will be creating those resources, and the resource group where you can provide the access inheritance. Access based controls can be given on a resource group, also on a subscription based. I was talking about the role assignments, the AD. When you have the on-premise Windows AD server, most of the organizations have, and that can be synced with the Microsoft Azure Active Directory in Azure Cloud, and you can have the active sync with the Microsoft Azure for access controls. But today we're not going to discuss more about the Active Directory controls here. I just want to highlight here, how the access can be inherited and what is the structure, when it comes to subscription or a resource group or resource. So yeah, now it's time to demo. We'll see what is the compute, what is storage, and what is network. And before going that, I would like to demonstrate and show you the data centers or what is currently available.
If you allow me 1 minute, Malik, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Yes. So as a quick recap about what has mentioned by Malik. So in a cloud model, we have IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. And the simplest way to distinguish between this model is by taking a look about what is managed by the cloud vendors, which is Azure, and what is managed by you. So with PaaS, the cloud vendor, which is Azure, run your compute and app services, and you are only manage your apps and data. So whereas with IaaS, the cloud vendor, which is Azure, manage your compute and storage and network infrastructure, and you manage everything else. So you still have a network, still have the storage, but you don't have to manage underlying fabric, which is the physical storage or the physical network devices. But anything else, you have to manage it. Let's say antivirus, monitoring, the backup. So this will be managed by you in infrastructure as a service when we talk about it. So in IaaS, as I mentioned, you have to manage everything other than the physical or the underlying fabric. Anything that you used to deploy on premise in Windows or Linux, you can easily migrate it to Azure. You have a lot of images available on the stores on Azure Marketplace that you can use it, or you can build your own image with the specific applications or OS or whatever configuration that you want to have on this VM. Also, the same as that you have on premise, like high availability or cluster or load balancing. These all options are still available on Azure with SLA. So whatever you have on premise, you can easily deploy it on Azure without any limitations. Also, you will get SLA from Microsoft. This is what I would like to add. Thank you, Malik.
Thank you, Rousan. So I was telling about the the data centers which is currently available. You could see the availability regions, and in that region, what is available. We will discuss about what is availability zone in next slide. So if you talk about the upcoming zones, if you see the Qatar Central is coming up, Indonesia Central is coming up. These are the new regions which is being published by Microsoft, the upcoming Azure regions. All these, I was telling, these are almost 160 plus data centers which are interconnected. Largest connectivity between all these data centers. You can plan your, when it comes to your planning regions across, let's say, the West Europe, and then East-West traffic. You can plan accordingly based on the West Europe and North Europe here. If you see here, West Europe and North Europe, and Central US East 1 and East 2, East 3 also coming up. These are the Azure geographics of the Azure region availability. As Rousan was telling, I mean, you have the the SLAs which are being provided by Azure. It depends upon how we are going to deploy our the Azure compute. Based on that, the SLA is available. As the if you see the availability set, which is going to provide you 99.95% of SLA, which is given by Microsoft. And when it comes to Azure zones, it gives the 99.99% of the availability. So talking about the data centers and what is a region, when it comes to a region is a kind of a set of data centers which is deployed, connected through a regional low latency network on. And then if you see the what is availability zone in a region may consist of more than one data center. Availability zone can be considered more than one data center, which is pictured here. If you see the West Europe region, we have 3 availability zones. When you're going to plan your deployment, I mean, you can plan the deployment in each of the availability zones to get the high availability, as mentioned as 99.99%. Yeah. So that is one thing, and then so as we were discussing, what is the IaaS? IaaS is nothing but server and storage, networking, firewall security, and the data center. We were just discussing about the data center. How secure is the data center and what the certification compliance is in place. Now we'll see. I mean, the server storage, what is in real time, how it can be deployed. And if you see the products, what is available in IaaS, these are the products which are available in as an product offering by Azure is infrastructure as service. We were discussing about compute, storage, and networking. These are available, and even yeah, we'll see that one in each. So when it comes to compute, Let's deploy the. Meanwhile, I'll deploy the demo. So I was talking about the subscription action option. You'll find the this is your the level, and then you go to your resource groups, and then here you can create your resource groups. I just created a resource group. Now in this resource group, as I would like to create a compute in this. So here I'm creating a virtual machine, as Rosen was saying. In the marketplace you have a wide variety of images which are available. When you want to create your compute VM, so you can select if you need that Linux, or if you need any Windows server. These are the marketplace images. You name it. I think the marketplace has wide variety of the OS images which are available to deploy. So now we're going to select Ubuntu. This is the open source. When it comes to the the computer, here are the few details which you're going to fill in to create the Azure Compute VM. And then once the VM is created, then we'll get into what is the network database. So here I was telling about the data centers, the regions. These are the regions available. I mean, you should be specific, when you are going to deploy the, your compute VM based on the criteria what we have. So I'm going to deploy this in availability zone 1. There are many other details which we'll explain in the next couple of minutes. So here, now the network part comes first. So what we will do for any compute which you want to deploy, there should be a network to be available, and then we place the VM inside that network. So what we will do, we'll create the network now. So here, the network range we can select for a VNet. I'm creating a subnet, the subnet name called VM subnet. Okay, while deployment is in place, I will run through the network. What is network and what is it available? So if you see the network, right, in a subscription, you can create multiple VNets. There is a limitation when you want. I think right now there's a limitation. You have to note that. When it comes to network, we have the network security groups, application security group, and Azure firewall. These are the network components which are available and how you're going to secure your network. Right now, what we have done. Right now, what we have done is we just created a subnet now, and now we are going to create a VM here. We have selected Azure region as a West Europe, Azure West Europe. Inside that, we are going to deploy a virtual network. We just created now. I think deployment is in place. So in that, we created a subnet called a VM subnet, which is going to be deployed. Yes, our deployment is complete now. The VNet is created. We will see the VNet. This is the VNet detail, and then we have subnet here. This is a subnet. So here, I think we need to come back. I'll explain this later. I think we need to start from beginning. Sorry for that. Yeah, we just created this VNet, and now this is now here. When you're creating a VM, it will ask you to create a public IP, or if you say none, the public IP will not be deployed. Since during this demo we don't have any extended network to connect to the VM, I'm creating a public IP here. And I'm just allowing the ports to connect as a Ubuntu VM. I will run through this later. Quickly creating the virtual machine. It is now validating the whatever the inputs we have given to create a virtual machine. Ignore about the warning. In the next section, what we are going to do, we are going to secure our network using the energy. We will be creating energy now. Using energy, we can control the the inbound and outbound traffic to the VM. This is where you can control the the access from outside world or internally between the subnets or between the VNets. Energy plays a critical role in giving the secure access to your Azure resources. Either we can use Azure application security groups or an energy. Currently we are now, I'm going to show how to create the energy and how we are going to allow the network access to the VM, complete VM. Now our VM is created. Let's go to the VM. VM is running, and as I said, I have given a public IP to to connect to the VM. And so I'm trying to access it from the public internet. The where it is working, the login credentials. Sorry, I created a different user. Yeah, now we're logged in. So now currently this is, the port 22 access has been allowed from the public IP when anyone can who has access to the, user ID password, can access. So how we are going to restrict, when it comes to restriction available in the energy. So what I will do, I'll create energy. Okay. Okay, yeah, the VM has deployed the energy. Yeah. Okay, let's forget this energy. We're going to create a new one. Interface, I think. Yeah, if you see the energy, I think the VM has deployed the energy. Let's use this. And if you see here, the energy is not associated with any subnet, but it is attached to a network interface, I think, which is the VM network interface. This is the network interface, which is being associated with energy. If you see the network security group here, which is already associated. Now let's associate with the subnet. So now if you see the energy security rules, we have, if you go to overview, the energy will show you what is being allowed, what is the outbound rules, and what is the inbound rules. This is what I was talking about. Currently, the SSH22 is allowed. If you go to the details, right now the source could be any, and it is coming from the destination. I think you could, instead of targeting to any here, we can target the destination to the one of our, the VM subnet, changing it to instead of any, I'm changing it to what is the VM subnet which we created. If you see here, you can say allow action, deny action. I'm just saving it. Now, if you see here, it is associated with the subnet. Assume we don't have this rule, okay? Well, what happens if there is no rule here? So far, we created a VNet and we created a VM subnet, and we tried to create a compute VM. And then that compute VM we attached to NSG, and NSG we just deleted a rule which requires to connect to the VM. Now I'm trying to, where is the VM? It takes some time to, when you update the network security rules, it takes some time to reflect on the VM. Instead of that waiting, we will try to restart the VM and try to access it from the outside world. Now we have removed the energy rule to access it. If you see, there is no, outside world access here. So now the VM has been shut down. It's, I think, going for a restart. Let's say the VM has come up. Yeah, the VM has come up. Now let's try to connect to that. So you see, we are unable to connect to the VM, but VM is up and running. Since there is no security rule here, we cannot access the VM from the outside world. These are the, the Azure compute can be your virtual machine, which is deployed on the Azure services, can be secured by allowing the inbound and outbound security rules. You can say you can restrict your outbound, to whom you want to, let's say you have any website to be connected to from the VM, you're running a process, you're running an application, let's say there is a database, which needs to be, this VM has to be connected. For that, we need to add an outbound security rule in case if it needs to be connected to a database. Now I'm going to, add the rule, let's say source port range, destination is going to be our subnet. I'm putting the rule back. We can connect to the VM. Following port 22 of TCP. I'm saying action allow on priority 100, and I'm saying it's going to be port 22. Yeah, now we have allowed the port. Let's say the VM needs to be connected to the internet, for example. You want to have an outbound rule. The VM has to be connected to the internet. I'm just for a demo purpose, I'm creating an outbound rule here to show you how the outbound rules can be created. So I'm just for internet, I'm giving 443. Destination, I'm going to give the internet service tag. Protocol TCP, I'm giving a port 443. What we are doing, we are giving an secure access, check secure channel access on port 443. A VM can go outside and talk to the anything. Let's restart quickly to get the rules affected. Not necessarily you need to restart the VM in real-time world. It takes some time, when you add a new energy rule, it takes some time to reflect. But during here, I'm just restarting a VM to see that quickly working. This is the overall energy. This is how you secure your, when it comes to your virtual machine. Now we have created a compute. When it comes to the network, yeah, these are when it comes to network. You can have your Azure firewall, set up where your subnet routes through your firewall. Azure provides the, you can, as I said, in a subscription, you can have multiple virtual networks can be created. It's like, deploying your, application workloads, to a different virtual networks. And you can have a virtual network peering, I think that it's an interconnected virtual network you can create using that. That is the, virtual network with peering in between them. There are multiple options in the networking area. I think for today's session, we're not going to discuss in detail on how the, it takes time, really when you get into networking is a, big thing here. Today, we just want to limit the, about the network, you can create a network VNet here, and then you can restrict your, compute network using a network security group. And today, we're not going to deploy any Azure firewall to route the traffic via firewall to see the line is secure or not. Yeah, yes, let's move on to. Okay. Now we have a VM here and we have created a network and is accessible from outside world. Oh yeah, we didn't check that whether it is accessible or not. Let's try to access it. As we created the, we put back the NSG rule here. Duplicate this session. See, now we got a response. Yeah, we're able to access the VM. Oh, we're going to discuss about the as we've said, okay, these are the products available in IaaS. So what is management? When it comes to management, what is available here? So management is nothing but your compute management, how you are gonna monitor your VM and but the tools which are need to be configured, for doing automation, in- all those stuff can be done here. If you see the policies, these are all things comes the management of the let's say let's deploy one the network watcher tool to see how the network is happening here on our VM. This is one of the extension, network watcher extension, which is available. Let's see here extensions. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to deploy the network watcher extension, which is available. Here are the list of extensions which are available. So I'll tell you what is the use of these extensions in the next minute. I'm just deploying an the network watcher agent on this machine. See, extension is nothing but a small agent which is being installed on your VM to to do your tasks. If you see here, as I spoken, you can encrypt your Azure VM disk. This is one of the extension which by using this Azure disk encryption extension, you can encrypt the VM disks. We have a different one for Linux and we have a different version for Windows. There are many other extensions, wide variety of extensions are available in Azure for a VM to do the to tasks. If you want to take a snapshot, you can install the snapshot, and Azure Monitor, which is in preview currently. I mean, you can have Azure Monitor extension. This is nothing but the extension will help reduce your task. This will be installed as an agent on a VM, and it will give back the results to the Azure. For example, now we have installed the Network Watcher extension. What Network Watcher extension will show you? Let's see what is the status. Here we have installed Network Watcher extension and the provisioning succeeded. If you go to the VM and the VM blade, and you see the extensions here, and there we have installed the Network Watcher extension. Okay, let's. What is the use of the Network Watcher? If you go to Network Watcher, if you see the topology, then we have a RG, and then what the VNet we created. So this will help you, Network Watcher will help you, to find out how the traffic is routing. Is there any problem? You can troubleshoot the connections. Also, you can see the, the topology. We have created a VNet. This is the VM subnet, and this is the network card which is connected to a VM, and it has a public IP. And if you see the energy relation, we have a NIC is being attached to the energy. Also, the not necessarily the NIC need to be attached. I think when we created a VM by default, the energy has been attached to a NIC. If you attach to the subnet, that would do good. And if you see here, the IP flow, the network watcher will help you. The agent inside the agent. Let's say we have the virtual machine now. Using that, let's say local port could be any, and say okay, google.com. Let's say to find out any public IP, and you can any any IP address, and then we can put the port number here, and then you can test it so that it will tell you what is whether the IP flow is working or not. Network watcher will tell you. I mean, it gives this all when you want to have shooting issue, you can all this can be found out. Network troubleshooting can be easy. So on the VM now we have installed our one of the extension. So then there is another going to the Azure Monitor, one of the tool. So what I'm going to do, I think I've already have created the log analytics. This is one of the area where your compute, logs and the CPU metrics will be going here. Again, using these extensions, you can have the monitor. You can monitor and you can trigger alerts based on the health alerts can be triggered using the log analytics workspace. If you go here, you see if this is our VM and it is not connected to the log analytics workspace. Where if you want to connect to this workspace, if you see here, and where are our extensions? If you see here, there is no log analytics extension here. If I'm going to say connect. Now it is a log analytics agent will be deployed here. If you see, OMS agent for Linux. This is now being installed there. If you see here, OMS agent for Linux. I think, yeah. OMS agent for Linux is nothing but the which will give you all the metrics. Azure Monitor for Linux. Back to log analytics. Here we are talking about an extensions. The extensions will help the reduce your administration effort. And yeah, you see here these alerts, these monitoring, whatever is being will be captured into the log analytics workspace. From there, we can trigger the alerts. That is one of the use of the log analytics workspace. I think we are now installing the extension. It will take some time to deploy the agent, and it will be connected soon. Yeah, when it comes to the Azure compute, right? We were discussing about the Azure compute. The wide varieties of virtual machine sizes are available in Azure. If you see here, what size, let me show you here what we have created here. I think I have quickly ran through the VM creation. If you see here, the current size what we selected is the B1S, which is the less priced, and for a demo we have selected this. When it comes to Azure, the compute, you have a wide variety of VM size you can select for your deployment according to your application deployment. You see, these are the general purpose sizes which are available. For example, let's say we take the word E series. What is this? What specialized about E series? This is the difference. If you see the D series, now you are going to get a 4 CPU and 16 GB RAM here. If your requirements suffice this model and you can go with this, you can select it. Let's say you have 4 GB 4 CPU and you have a requirement of 32 GB RAM. Memory intensive. These E series is the memory optimized. You can have a more memory. If you see the 4 CPU and you have a 64 GB memory here. So based on our requirement, we can select the the VM deployment size. For today's session, I've selected the B1. These are the wide varieties of the VM sizes are available. According to your requirement, we can select the VM sizes here. In case if you are running the high performance compute, we can select these these sizes. If you see the general purpose, the D series goes with the general purpose of the for deployments. If you see now, coming back to this session, now the virtual machine is connected to the And if you go to the extensions, so it is provisioning succeeded. This agent is installed, on the Linux VM. If you see here on the mission, the Linux mission, this see we have not done anything. We are not logged into any of the. We just using the portal we have deployed an agent using the VM extension, and VM agent extension has deployed the OMS agent here. And now this agent collects the what you call any metrics of the CPU, and then the logs of the VM, and then it sends to log analytics workspace. Log analytics workspace, we can create alerts. We can generate alerts to our ITSM portal. Log analytics workspace is used to monitor our resources. That is about the VM extension. And we were discussing about the size, the compute size based on our operating model. I mean, based on workload, when it comes to workload, based on the workload, you can select the VM sizes here. So when it comes to storage, what disk or what is the storage? When it comes to the VM, I mean, what type of disks? I mean, the disk types are available for a VM to be deployed. If you see here, for example, you take the any disk. We have a premium SSD, standard SSD, and standard HDD. I think I just overran while creating the the VM. If you see the disk here, we have been selected the premium SSD LRS here. Based on our requirement and IPOs, we can select the disk. Let's create one data disk and I'll show you how to, when I'm creating a disk. Disk name is data disk. See, my workload is a very normal workload, which I'm gonna here you're gonna. If you see here, premium SSD, I'm saving it. I've just created a HDD disk, then we'll upgrade it to see the. Now disk has been created, it is being attached to the VM. Okay, let's say we are gonna. I want to upgrade this. These are the when it comes to standard HDD, these are the available disk, and you get the IPOs. No, it is not showing. If you see here, the if you are going with the premium SSD, what is the throughput you are going to get? IPOs. Based on our workload, we can select these disks according to your workload. Currently, these are available: the standard SSD and ultra disk, and then yeah, premium HDD. And it depends upon your application workload. We have to select the disks. That gives us the performance. These are the disks available. It is clearly given. I mean, when you're going to take let's say standard SSD, what is going to be the read write capacity here, and what is the max disk size you can be taken. I think could be sufficient, I guess. And when it comes to the storage, we were just discussing about the disks now. This is I was just showing the disk storage, which is being attached to the VM. We will just discuss that. When it comes to storage, these are the wide varieties of options available when you want to deploy the storage in Azure. If you want to go for a data lake storage, you can create the Azure Storage as a data lake store. Data lake storage is available, and then this is the common blob storage, Azure files. You can have if you want to create Azure files and then mount it to the inside the VM. You can create Azure files. When it comes to
Malik, I believe you are on mute. You are on mute, Malik.
Sorry, it got muted. Huh? Sorry. Yeah. So we'll create one storage account now. I mean, yeah, quickly we'll create one storage account. Sorry, I was not don't know how it got muted. We're going to create a storage account here. We just discussed about disks. VHD disk, what we created for a VM now. So here, okay. I'm going to create a storage account. And then you can see here, you can select the standard or premium. And then here we have, as a speaking to the zone locally, I mean, geo redundant. I think in next session we will brief about the storage. Right now I'm selecting as LRS. We are just creating a storage account with an application called locally redundant storage. So storage is, in different ways the storage can be used as storage account. On a VM, how we are going to use a storage account, I'm just going to show you now. Okay, deployment is succeeded. Now I'm going to my VM. See, in the VM, you can know the I said this is the boot diagnostic settings. I mean, for a VM, when when the VM is getting booted, you can take that. You can store the snapshot into the storage account of ours. We just now created a storage account. I'm selecting that boot diagnostics account here in the VM. So whenever the VM is being rebooted, the boot screenshot will be saved here. In case of any troubles in the, what is help of this boot diagnostics is that in case if the VM crashes, VM is unable to boot, those screens can be captured and we can be seen in the storage account. I think it is being saved now. Yeah, let me refresh. It takes some time, or I'll quickly reboot the server to see to get the new snapshot quickly. I guess we are running out of time. Yeah. So if you see the diagnostics, I think it's being saved. Yeah, I think it is taking some time. This is one of the usage. I mean, storage. I mean, the storage account can be used to store the blob storage. I think end of time we couldn't discuss more about the storage. In a nutshell, the infrastructure as a service. What from the product catalog. If you see, the main thing which was discussed is the compute the VM and then the storage and then the networking. I mean, we have created a network and then we deployed the VM onto the network. And also we created a storage and then we tried to attach to store the boot diagnostics onto the storage account. We didn't go much about in detail about what is storage and all. what is the LRS, what is GRS, and what it is, and what are available in premium or a standard. And maybe in next session we will cover that. And when it comes to compute, I think we have covered the sizes. It depends upon the workload what we are going to select. The wide variety of options are available when it comes to VM sizes. According to our workloads, you can select the VM sizes, which gives the performance. It is clear in given clear detail when you say general purpose. I mean, if you see general purpose and what is general purpose and how it can be used is given here. Rousan, any questions are there? We can take the questions.
Actually, I cannot see any questions, Malik, here.
Okay. So yeah. If anybody has any questions, then we'll take the questions and then we'll end up the You want to add anything, Rousan, or we'll end up the session?
Yeah, I believe what you have shared is more than enough. Really, we appreciate your efforts.
Yeah, I think this is the first session. I hope next session will be improving more. Thank you for joining. I mean, yeah,
You did very well.
Extended sessions will be covered in each and individual item going forward. This is just an introductory session on infrastructure as a service. Hope we covered it. In case if any, then in next sessions we'll be covering up. Yeah,
for sure. We will have more sessions in the future covering advanced on
advanced concept
infrastructure as itself.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Malik. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for joining our session.
Yeah.